In the recent times, there have been many political fiascos which turned into topics of discussion for almost every household in India. In the past decade only, Indians have seen some of the most controversial issues coming to the limelight and making headlines all over the world. Although these issues deserved way more attention, but the most that people have been vocal about them is just on their Instagram stories. Our reaction on these issues will decide the fate of the new Indian society. And who else is better equipped to safeguard these positive agendas for our future than the lawyers? The ambition to enter legal profession is drawn from inspiration and greatness. I feel like the cheesy dialogue which says that one person can truly make a change is just us talking about lawyers. Seeking an example from the stories of Mahatma Gandhi and Barack Obama, or even just after watching some of the modern web shows, I must say that the lawyers are no longer limited to their conventional black robes and courtrooms but have jumped onto the pedestal of greatness. On this episode of Edge of Teenage, we will unfold the story of a very talented girl and her perspective of life as a law student. Lovanshi, a second year law student, is here with us to share her views on some of the important topics of discussion and her experience of joining legal studies in India on the episode I am a law student. Well, I have personally known Lovanshi for many years now, and just after a brief discussion with her, I was convinced that more people deserve to hear what she has to say. She has some remarkable communication skills and a very presentable personality, both of which are an essential part of being a lawyer. We will start with learning a thing or two about Luvanshi and how she entered the legal world. And as we progress through the podcast, we will jump back to talking about real issues. So let's just get into a conversation with the guest herself. Hi, Luvanshi.
Hello, Ashutosh. By the way, I'm very flattered by the introduction you gave, right? Thank you for the kind words, though.
Yeah, well, so you deserved it. Uh, let's begin, right? How are you doing? How is lockdown treating you?
I'm doing good and very excited to talk by. And also, registering this fact that I am being interviewed. And lockdown, lockdown made me face some harsh realities and gave me very big lessons.
Well, we'll come to this point later in the podcast. Uh, I think I have covered most of it, but I'd like you to introduce yourself to our listeners once again.
Okay, hello again. I am Lovanshi, 19 years old, a very ordinary teenage studying law.
So, law student, right? You must have given the CLAT exam. And I'm sorry, I'm asking the shameless question. How did it go?
Oh, yeah, you are being a sinner asking me about the CLAT result. Okay, so I did terrible in CLAT.
Since like most of us don't know much about this CLAT exam, can you elaborate a little about it? And also, can you quickly take me through the structure of the exam? Like, what are the subjects involved, and is it difficult?
Okay, so CLAT is basically a national level entrance exam for admissions to candidates in undergrad and postgrad law courses offered at 22 NLUs and several other colleges, universities. The CLAT this year will be conducted on 7th September, I guess. And I know it's been postponed so many times, which is frustrating. But anyhow, and I guess the timings are 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., right? And it will be an online center based exam where students will have to go and keeping in mind the social distancing, the center is usually near your home, and but this time you can put a request for changing the center stating your reasons. And moreover, the candidates will be permitted to carry only mask, gloves, sanitizer, simple pen, or other exam related documents, admit card, ID card, etc. And okay, so coming to the structure of exam, it tests one's aptitude and reasoning abilities. It comprises of five sections, namely verbal ability, quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, general knowledge, and legal aptitude. However, from this year onwards, there won't be any legal section because it involves subjects which are not usually taught to students in school, and you become obliged to take coachings for that. So this change would be great relief for the next year aspirants. Okay, so talking about difficulty, if it's difficult or not, it really depends on your practice. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have taken coaching for 2 years, 1 year, or just 2 months crash course after your board exams. The the thing which matter is, which I believe, I mean, your willingness to give the preparation considerable amount of efforts, and I think I didn't do that. And considering anyone can take this exam regardless of their stream chosen and age, so basically, specifically for this year, I think I read somewhere that there's no upper limit for the age, like there's no age bar. And I think when I gave exam, it was 2022, 22. I might be wrong, but this year there's no age bar, and there's no and you can come from any stream and give the exam. So considering all this, the exam does become highly competitive. But yeah, with your sheer efforts, one can surely ace it.
And how about you? So when did you started preparing for it? Were you like preparing it for a year or two, or you started after the boards?
Okay, so I started taking coachings in 12th standard. Uh, 12th standard, like board year, life changing year, like blah blah, all those exaggerated facts about 12th, in being in 12th. I was very active in 12th standard. I did not hesitate in participating in co-curricular activities. Like just whatever came across me, I tried it. Natural consequence was that I didn't stay in class longer, which made my teachers infuriated sometimes. But I did whatever I liked, so that doesn't really matter. And in this whole situation, I didn't pay like much attention to the preparation of clat per se, and I overestimated my abilities, especially in maths. I was very bad in maths. And yeah, so the board result were not as great as expected from me by everyone, including my family. And so they know they knew that somewhere that I won't be able to be in first 1500 ranks, to be able to achieve admission in the top NLUs, and among 60,000 people. Yeah, I think 60,000 people in my time gave the exam. So yeah, and exactly that happened. And but I did not only apply for clat, I gave Christ, Symbiosis, Punjab University enters exam. I mean, at the end, they didn't work out well for me. So LSAT, which is for the private universities, came to my support. And yes, and that's how I landed in Upajandal Global University.
Tell us some things about your university. What does it offer, and why that specific university?
First, I came to know about this university in coaching classes, and it was like initially like a big no because, first, a private university, and second, obviously, very expensive. So, every person who gives CLAT aims at securing seats in top five ranked NLUs. And private universities are usually your last resort, like any other entrance exam, JEE, NEET. You aim for government universities, and this is what happens in CLAT also. So, JGU is basically a top tier private university of India. And last year, it ranked first in QS Asia rating. Yeah, we know about it. Like, we were sent so many mails regarding that. And it somewhere justify it with their extremely proficient professors and global reach. It is a residential university, so every student, including some faculty members, lives within its premises in hostel. Being a residential university, it's literally like you living in your home away from your home, and where you get food in the mess, which sometimes is quite exotic, like, at least the menu would be. And we have laundry facilities, convenience stores, swimming pool, and name any sport, Jindal has it. We have food court also, like in there you can get Subway, Domino's, anything. I mean, not to miss Moti Mahal, Punjab Grills, VRC. And yes, if you crave for kadak chai, Tapri, Amul, Everfresh, come, they just all comes to your rescue. I know I should stop it, but I just get carried away whenever we talk about food. So yeah, the food there is great.
I have heard that students from all over India join this university. That must be like a lot of diversity. Also, tell me about your hostel experience. That must be something very new for you.
Oh yeah. So hostels are very clean and sorted in general. In first year, we get triple sharing rooms. There are three bunk beds designed in a way that we have like enough space for keeping our books, other essential stuff, and study table is like fitted in, so all sorted. And hostel life is pretty nice if you are lucky to get good roommates in first go. I'm that lucky chap. But if you don't, you have the opportunity to swap rooms. For me, it was amazing experience. I mean, when someone say that you should live hostel life at least once in your life, I felt that. Sometimes it becomes difficult to live in same controlled premises, and it is basically situated in isolated area. So the university is basically in a very isolated area, and around it is just fields. So yeah, if you want to go out, usually you go to Delhi, and for that, taking your parents' permission till third year through Great Pass system is necessary. I mean, yeah, that's that. Okay, and about diversity of people you come across. Initially, it was like daunting for me, if because I've never been exposed to people with so many different backgrounds. And but eventually, I felt the privilege to be able to study among people who are like so different culturally, linguistically, and I get the perspective of I get their perspective to different things. And so I feel it's very important to come out of your shell and to experience plethora of knowledge people hold all across the country. And I personally faced difficulty in making friends as I'm not very social. My roommates helped me survive first 2 months of the first semester, and then I finally made a friend in class. And then I met some other lovely people too. It was a bliss for like spending 5 months with them, and yeah, I really sometimes miss them a lot. And no matter from where you are coming, you eventually find your tribe there. The most impressive thing about the university is that it's inclusive and open to different opinions, basically a safe space for everyone. It is queer friendly and like doesn't tolerate ragging. They follow zero tolerance policy, so no chance you will be bullied by seniors or anyone, like which is, and this ragging is quite prevalent in many reputed universities. And moreover, seniors are really adorable and very approachable, so you can always ask help from them if you feel lost. Okay, so everything I'm saying, I'm not endorsing my university, it's just my personal experience, and I'm not like making up things. And not to miss, Jindal has also extensive connection with other universities abroad. And Harvard, Cambridge, King's College, Cornell, all are included in that list. So it has provision of summer school and student exchange programs too, where you get the opportunity to study in top-notch universities across the globe. Yes, for student exchange, students from those university also come to Jindal and study. So yeah, basically this was my major reason to join it, and because it gives so quite like diverse environment where you can study.
So I'm a big Suits TV series fan, okay, and I saw this amazing law clinic thing in it, and when I was researching for this episode, I got to know about the clinic in your law school. I think it's great and cool at the same time. So tell us about this clinic and other clubs and societies in your college. Well, basically all about the social life in your college.
Okay. I think it might come as shock to you, but I haven't watched Suits yet. I might be virtually killed for that. And but I have explanation for that. Whenever I would think of starting it, I would freak out so much looking at the length of the series. But it's okay. I'll watch it someday for sure. And about social life in general. Yeah, like any other university, we have numerous societies ranging from literary society to dance society, musical society, performative theaters, environment society, mood court, animal welfare society. Oh, by the way, we have cutest dogs on campus, and there are many other societies too. And the good part is there's no cap on number of society we can have on campus. And also you are not like restricted to certain number of societies, and there's also no cap on number of societies we can participate in. So and all these societies are student run, and you can launch your own society too. Girl Up and Human Rights Societies are the newest one and the latest one. Um, okay, so Legal Ed Clinic is one of the most remarkable thing about Jindal, which is again student-led organization founded to provide high quality legal aid free of cost and help the community gain better access to information. Under this there are different subgroups also, such as litigation, right to health, right to information, right to education, and they have successfully helped many people working on campus or living in villages in Haryana who can't afford to gather good legal aid. And they also never stopped to take actions regarding the pressing issues in the society, and they would put that in front of the government. And they have been on headlines in newspaper too for their great work.
Now it's time for a fun question, okay? How were things before university? What was school like? I'll give you a hint. There was no stress in school.
Yeah, but I feel being in university like this and being in school is totally different experience. And to be honest, I enjoyed both to the fullest. I mean, yeah, 4 years are still left, but I believe they would also be nice as last year was on campus. Um, I hate online classes, by the way, but unfortunately, it's what it is.
Since you were a humanities student, and I feel like humanities specifically is a very underrated stream. I mean, the choices you get after this is enormous, but still people talk about it like you have chosen something wrong. Although with the new education policy, I hope things will change and parents and the society will not try to negate any particular subject or stream. But I would like to know your opinion on that.
Yeah, so I'm like jack of all trades, but master of none. Trying to master law though. And this was the very reason I opted for humanities. And there were some nagging people too, who would tell me, oh, you scored 10 CGPA, you should have opted science. And some teachers also led me to that way. And I understand their concern. But, I was always interested in social sciences and politics, particularly. So humanities was my go to. And to be honest, I don't regret taking humanities because beside academic curriculum, the soft skills I learned would always be in handy wherever I go, whatever field I choose for me. Okay, now that government has introduced new education policy after a very long time, I think things would change gradually. I mean, the stigma around being in humanities would be reduced, and I hope that happens as soon as possible because humanities is a stream which has lot of amazing things in store.
Since you mentioned your liking for certain subjects which made you choose humanities, and it is a very common observation that most of the teenagers are not vocal about their passion. Some of them even get confused when they see their friends taking something as a career, and they would jump on it like, he's doing this, I need to do the same. But I feel that you should know deep down what you really want to do, like what is really your own passion.
I get that feeling when you feel clueless about your future or what you want to be. And it's the thing of the past now when you think only engineering or being doctor can fetch you good money or secured future. There has been boom of unconventional jobs nowadays, and I'm sure everybody's talent can fit in one job or the other. Or or if you are still doubtful about in what aspect you are good, and then you should take the help of a career counselor. I think it will do wonders to you. I would urge any teenage listening this to not think about where your friends are going. Just take a leap of faith in whatever you love to do. It's better to take a plunge now than regretting later.
Also, not much people talk about peer pressure. It doesn't get the attention it deserves. In school it doesn't get noticed much, but when you go to university it is on a whole different level. And also it is taken in a very negative way. I mean, it definitely has some negative aspects, but if we channelize this energy into the right direction, we can do great things. What has been your experience with peer pressure, and how do you take it? Do you take it as a challenge head on, or you bow down to it?
Okay, I mean, to be honest, when I went to university and attended classes, I was totally awed by people's intelligence and diversity of things they know. And in the beginning, I struggled to accept that I'm not in par with their knowledge. I mean, but I thought of taking that in a positive way, like you said, channelizing your energy in a positive manner. And like, if you have watched Kota Factory, so in that Jeetu Bhaiya said that if you are most intelligent student in class, there remains no scope of growth further. So that's what I believe in, and that I have huge scope to explore and learn various things from them. But um, I didn't feel any external pressure, like peer pressure of that sort in university.
Well, now comes the most interesting part of the podcast. There has been some issues over the past few years which were of national importance, and we have heard all kinds of opinions on them. We have heard politicians, journalists, experts, and whatnot. But what we need to hear now is a teenager's opinion. So, what will we do is I will tell you a topic or an issue, and you tell us what you think about it. Okay, ready?
Oh, yes.
Uh, the first one would be LGBTQ. Let's hear it for the whole community.
So, before speaking anything, I want to put this forward that everything which I'll be speaking are my personal opinion. They're very subjective, and I hope they don't hurt anybody's sentiments. So, yeah, you asked me about LGBTQ community. What I feel is the picture is bleak for LGBT community in India. You might think why I am saying this despite the fact India decriminalized homosexuality, which means consensual gay sex in private is no longer illegal. And so now India has become all progressive and inclusive for every gender identity and sexuality. But, you know, I feel just because a rule has changed in the constitution doesn't mean the centuries long stigmatization will also change. I want to highlight the recent case in Kerala where a bisexual woman committed suicide after her parents forced her into conversion therapy. Many on social media question why these illegal and regressive therapies are still taking place in India in 2020. And that I think that that is precisely the question not to ask if you know India. I must tell you, this was no isolated incident of young queer Indian being forced to unbecome who they are. And sad to say, this won't be last if we don't aware ourselves. There was this another case about a lesbian couple committed suicide in Tamil Nadu after one of the women family tried to force her into an arranged marriage after getting to know about their relationship. The reasoning of such action, I think, lies in our social conditioning of being in a certain way and regarding heterosexuality to be something superior or something to be proud of. I don't understand why being straight is ideal or normal. Because I have seen straight people doing weird things, including me. I mean, this definition of being normal is so nonsensical. Just a few years ago, I remember Baba Ramdev claimed yoga could cure homosexuality. I was like, wow, really? And and yes, there are still doctors and psychiatrists trying to cure queerness. I mean, like, what? And okay, not to forget all those babas or in ashrams you go and who say, you they will make your child heterosexual again. And oh yeah, after all these things doesn't work, the solution comes down to getting them married and put them under lifelong torture, because that is the Indian solution to everything. I mean, I'm unsure if it is our ignorance or just naivety that we think a single amendment in the constitution will change age old mentalities. For God's sake, homosexuality is not a teenage phase. It can't be cured just like heterosexuality can't. It's not unnatural. Instead, it is as natural as it can get. We celebrate Pride Month, but that would amount to little if we don't sensitize people around us. There are still innumerable students who are bullied in school for embracing their identity. They are humiliated and even face assault, which led them to skip classes or drop out from school. And what gets severely affected is their mental health. Most teachers are not even trained or empowered to respond to anti LGBT bullying. And sometimes their parents also push them to periphery to suffer alone. And okay, in all this, I'm not even starting to talk about the atrocities and um, unequal treatment transgender community faces in India. And if I will start, this whole podcast would run short.
All right, so I think a lot has been left to discuss yet, but the listeners, our lovely audience, might be a little tired. So we will end the first part of this episode right here and continue from exactly here in the next part of the episode. So go on, take a break, but promise you will come back to listen to the second part.